Imagine an underground world made of concrete and steel, stairways and tunnels, just enough light to see the signs on the walls. Suppose there were people who lived down here all their lives and were never allowed to visit the surface, and that these people were told from the time they were born that this world is all that exists. Wouldn't they believe what they're told to believe? Wouldn't they try to live like it's true? Suddenly a madman stumbles down the stairs and says to the people living here, "Don't you realize that you're underground? Don't you know that there's an amazing world right up those stairs, and that a tomb, no matter how spacious, is still a tomb?" But the people laugh at the man. They say, "We understand our world just fine without all your rambling about another. Go back to your flying spaghetti world, fool. We're the enlightened ones down here." And in rejecting the world above, they sink a little deeper into the world below. The following year, I had a life-changing experience. I was running from the police in the middle of the night, and they had me surrounded on 3 sides. The 4th side was the Monongahela River, so I jumped in and swam across and started working my way through the trees on the other side. I eventually emerged from a patch of woods, and I found myself in someone's backyard. In front of me was a beautiful garden. I started to walk around the garden, but then I stopped to philosophize. I thought, I don't care about the people in that house, so why am I going out of my way to avoid stepping on their vegetables? Why am I being so courteous? Because I've been brainwashed, that's why. I've been breaking the law for years, and yet society had been manipulating my behavior all along. Greatness had been polluted by mediocrity. As I stomped my way through that garden, I had an incredible rush of freedom. The world has all of us on a leash made of rules. Do this, don't do that. But it's a leash that slips right off as soon as we recognize that we don't have to do anything anyone tells us to do. I walked into my dad's bedroom at about 2 o'clock in the morning, Thanksgiving Day. I stood over him with the hammer, and I tried to think of one wrong thing he'd ever done to me. Nothing came to mind. So I drew back my arm and came down on him with all 230 pounds. I didn't know how fast blood could come out of someone's head. Did I mention that I was an atheist? I understand that most of you atheists out there live perfectly normal lives, but I can never understand why you would want to. Think about it. We've got this massive universe, and over here is a tiny little crumb of a galaxy. Out of one of the spiral arms of this galaxy is a thoroughly unremarkable ball of hot gas. Circling this ball of hot gas is a pathetic speck of cosmic dust we call Earth, and crawling all over the Earth are these feeble, selfish, self-destructive lumps of cells constantly deluding themselves into thinking that what they do is so important. Most people don't want to kill and slaughter, but for those who do, our civilization is rapidly destroying any significant reason they might have for resisting the urge to kill and slaughter. Young people are lining up to dance to the music of their DNA. All you can do now is hope that they get tackled when they stop to reload, or that they make some huge blunder when their bloodbath begins. Jail is a place to sit back and reflect on the things you've done. You've got plenty of time to sit back and think, why did I get caught? I was able to hold things together to some extent, mentally, because I had something to do. But if what I had to do was pointless, then holding things together was pointless. When I was in E-Block in the jail, I met a Christian named Randy, a guy who had turned himself in for 21 felonies. Randy seemed like he was from another world. There'd be a fight in the dorm and he wouldn't watch. He'd turn his head away and pray for it to stop. Our main source of entertainment, and he's praying against it. Christians cracked me up. Randy was lying on his bunk reading his Bible one night, and I walked up to him and said, "Do you know why you're reading the Bible? You're reading the Bible because you were born in the United States. If you've been born anywhere else, you believe in something else. If you've been born in China, you'd be a Buddhist. If you've been born in India, you'd be a Hindu. If you've been born in Saudi Arabia, you'd be a Muslim, because people like you believe whatever you're told to believe." I've since heard other atheists say the same thing in almost exactly the same words. So I take it that this is a common atheist view of Christians, which is hilarious in its level of hypocrisy. I believe that the universe exploded out of nowhere for no reason, and that life formed on its own, and that consciousness was a natural product of particle interactions in our brains, and that moral values were nothing but societal indoctrination, and that Jesus' followers made up a story about him rising from the dead because they wanted his message to spread. I believed all of this without anything remotely resembling a careful investigation of the evidence, which means I believed a lot of what I'd been told. Because it's much easier to make fun of someone else than to do the difficult work of putting together a coherent, well-grounded belief set. Something interesting happened when I made fun of Randy. He fought back. Lots of Christians will go into retreat mode if you start arguing with them. They don't want to cause a scene. But Randy sat up on his bunk and proceeded to embarrass me about some of the things I was saying. I was totally shocked. I didn't know what was going on. I am the smartest, most advanced human being the world has ever seen, and night after night when we were arguing, Randy was just taking me to a school, and he wasn't smarter than me. He didn't have any special knowledge or degrees. He wasn't a scientist or a philosopher. He just had an annoying habit of questioning everything I would say. And when I would try to answer his questions about what I was saying, it would become clear to him and to me that many of my beliefs, when put into words, sounded really, really stupid. Things that made perfect sense when unquestioned made no sense at all when questioned. So here I am, a rapidly deteriorating atheist, sitting in a poorly lit cell, doing my Bible homework, getting straight A's. I haven't eaten in days, and I read about Jesus saying, "I'm the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry." I'm obsessed with liberating myself from a society that has me trapped in a 6.5 by 8 foot cell. And I read, "If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed." So the disciples, the apostles, had to believe what they were dying for, but this means that they were convinced that they had seen Jesus risen from the dead. Now, usually when someone is willing to lay down their life for something, it's for an ideology that they got from someone else, and that ideology could be true or false. The disciples were dying for something that they saw. What could have convinced so many different people that they had all seen a resurrected man? I could explain one witness by saying he's crazy, but all of them? Something was going on here and I had to figure it out, but I couldn't come up with any explanation for why they had that level of confidence other than they actually saw him. I got out and went straight to college, and just to bring everyone up to date, went to college and started off in college, and there met a guy named Nabil Qureshi, and was in there with Nabil Qureshi, and we met in a hotel room. We were on a school trip. We were on the speech and debate team, and we were sharing a hotel room. And he was a Muslim, and I was over there reading my Bible. I was reading through the Bible in a year, and I was in Isaiah at this time. So I'm reading, and I see Nabil over there. He's like putting away his prayer rug, and I'm praying. And I say, "God, I don't want people to call me like a bigot or something like this for starting an argument with a Muslim. So if you want me to talk to this guy, let him start it." And right after that, Nabil said, "So, are you a hardcore Christian?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And so that started things off, and Nabil and I became best friends really quickly, and we would sometimes just stay up all night arguing about Christian and Muslim topics. And eventually Nabil and I were in an airport one day. We were arguing about the resurrection. And as we were arguing about the resurrection, this new girl came up to us and said, "You're both right." And Nabil and I both turned to her like, "What in the name of common sense are you talking about?" I'm saying he rose from the dead. Nabil's saying he didn't rise from the dead. Those are the only two possibilities. One of us has to be right, the other has to be wrong. What do you mean you're both right? And what she meant was, all religious beliefs are basically the same. If if it makes you feel good, then it's true for you, that's fine. So she was actually an agnostic, but like a nice agnostic of, have your religious beliefs, that's fine. So we got into an argument, and she was really mean. She's one of those people where she would make her point, and if you started responding, then she would start laughing at you, which made it difficult. So it was really fun. Anyway, we liked arguing so much that we got married, and I bring that up because some of you young men in here, apologetics can help you get ladies. When talking to different kinds of people, you're going to be able to help a lot of people. And keep in mind, a lot of the people that you might help really, really need help, right? There were people like me who really, really needed some help. And it would have been very easy for someone like Randy to say, man, this guy's a jerk. I'm not talking to him. He talks about my sister. He tells people I'm gay. Why am I going to talk to him? Would have been very easy to do that, but he stuck with me. Later, I stick with Nabil for years. So you learn the apologetics, and look at who God puts in front of you. I guarantee you there's going to be a matchup. There's going to be a matchup with the people you encounter and the things you've learned, because what you've learned is going to be for certain kinds of people. So.